I had an interesting weekend. I was pretty sick and almost didn't run the half marathon that I had scheduled, but decided, hey, worst comes to worst, I have a bad race, the world will keep spinning, so I jumped in the car and headed that way. When all was said and done and I crossed the finish line, I ended up with a personal best of over 15 seconds a mile, in a race that I almost walked away from because I didn't think I would be at my best. And when I regained composure, settled in a little bit, I had to wonder how many times almost has gotten in my way. How many times a simple decision to stop, to not go or wait for later has changed the outcome of my life. How many times has it changed the world? How many potential bestsellers were almost started? How many potential greats almost stuck with it? How many friendships almost remained intact? Think about how fickle our world is, how these simple decisions to start, to go, to not drop the pen or hit the snooze button can change everything. And after that race, I told myself that I will never get in my own way again. I will never sell myself short. I will do everything in my power to be on the right side of almost. The worst outcome is so much better than wondering. And there are moments that we question if it's worth it, if it matters, if there really will be payout. And being pragmatic, maybe there will, maybe there won't. But the moments that we remember in life, the things that end up meaning the most to us, they don't come from almost jumping. They're born from the recognition that failure will not kill us. And opportunity hides behind mountains of almost. You can do what you've always done, or you can go further. You can keep your stories and ideals locked away in your head, or you can share them with the world. You can worry about the collapse, or you can build. Change the architecture of humanity, contribute something extraordinary, not be a victim of almost, but go in with the intent of leaving a mark, of holding your ground. There are no certainties in life, that's for sure, but I can promise if you never leave, my friend, you will never arrive. And with so many potential destinations out there, who wants that? Who wants to pay the cost of admission and not see the show? Be the person 30 years from now, talking, joking with your friends, family, and teammates about how you almost didn't go. You almost said no. You almost let your insecurity and doubt get the best of you. But then you took a step back and you remembered what matters. He with the courage to fail will live forever. It's the one in the shadows who will be forgotten, who will dissolve with time. Because while a safe existence temporarily guarantees that our needs will be met, it also promises a certain mortality. See, 100 years from now, we will be gone. Like sand on a beach or snow falling from the sky. Nothing will separate us from the physical world. But the stories we leave will transcend time. These stories are the culmination of the very best this world has to offer. They are what you get when you push through the smokescreen. Find what matters when you would trip over your feet 1 million times, climb stone after stone, just to see the view from atop of your dream. And then comes the inevitable question, why? Why risk it all? Why dream of greener pastures, of settling for nothing but the best? Because to those peering out from the shadows, your existence is trivial. It's unnecessary. It's inexplicable. But we are not rational beings. And that's okay. Maybe that's the way it should be. I would go as far as to say that a safe existence is the crazy thing. That to not soak up every ray of sunlight, swim in every body of water, run through every field possible, that is crazy. To not give in to that desire is crazy. And for what? So that we don't get condescending looks from faces we don't know? I've fallen and I will fall over and over again, and I promise you this. Because to remain upright is to watch the world go by, and I refuse to. This view from my window is fine, but the view from outside is unparalleled. Nothing is of more value than what we get when we chase the intangibles, follow the music, leave the expectations in search of the possibilities, because the former has a defined limit and the latter has no end. It's where some go right and others go left, where the ones afraid to get mud on their knees or sweat on their hands draw a circle around themselves and call you crazy. But there's nothing crazy about why you do it. There's nothing crazy about happiness, success. There's nothing crazy about passion. These things are immortal. They remain long after we do. They are the very essence of what it means to live. That compulsion to walk away from a scripted story is not wrong. It's what's beautiful with this world. It's your reason to struggle, to fight, to persevere, because no matter how many times you fall, you will rise again. Who are you? I suppose you could answer with a short summary of what you've done in your life. You wouldn't be wrong. Perhaps you could point to the present, what you're doing right now. You'd be correct. Maybe you could even respond by referencing your goals and dreams. Your answers would be impossible to disprove. But who you are is more than that. Much more. Can't be quantified or confined to a description. Who you are goes further. You are a journey to a distant shore. You're where the water meets the horizon. You are comprised of the very same elements that make up the earth, the moon, and the sun. You are literally remnants of stars that have come and gone, lighting up our sky for billions and billions of years. How can that be reduced to an elevator speech? And all this matters. It matters because you are more significant than you will ever know. A small but irreplaceable part of something perfect, inconceivable to mankind. You may be the culmination of your past, your present, and your future, but you are also the gaps that exist between them. The blank spaces, the unknowns, the opportunity to see the world as it truly is, an extension of you, the freedom woven into every breath you take. Just like the sun is tasked with rising and setting, you have a responsibility to live life to the fullest, to chase what exists on the other side of the mountains. That's where you find what matters most. And you can attempt to quantify this, but just like that first ray of sunlight reflecting on your face through the window in the morning, it's impossible to fully capture. Words, pictures, stories, they'll never hold a candle to the actual experience, to being there, that moment in time. Those moments are who you are. Hand in hand with everything your two eyes take in, they blend together to create an existence that cannot be explained or taught. It can only be lived. And that is exactly what you're here to do. Live life. Light up the sky like those stars that came before you. Shine through this universe. If that ends up being all you have, it will be more than enough. Because it's you. There's a rope. It's stretched, taut, about 10 feet up, parallel to the ground. You're holding on with both hands, just hanging there. You're not alone. There are people to your left and to your right, all holding on just like you are. A few minutes pass, then a few more, and suddenly this little realization trickles into the back of your head. This is not going to be a cakewalk. In fact, it's starting to hurt. You've moved beyond that phase of simply being in unfamiliar territory, and now you know where you are. You're uncomfortable. Out of sheer curiosity, you look to your left, you look to your right, and you start noticing that these people next to you are beginning to let go. One by one, they're making the decision that it simply isn't worth it. So they make it stop, and so could you. But you decide not yet. You hold on. Maybe it's curiosity, maybe in some convoluted way it's ambition. But you separate yourself from the negative, from the voice convincing the people next to you to just lift their fingers and make it go away. Somehow you're floating above all that. Another minute goes by, another and another, but it doesn't make a difference because you're focusing on the seconds. Because anyone can do anything for 1 second. It just so happens that they add up. It happens that they create minutes. And after a little while, you again glance to your left, you look to your right, and this time, everyone is gone. This time you're alone, the last one standing, hanging on this rope. And you think about it, there was no definitive moment when this result crystallized. It was a product of what you didn't do. It's the result of not letting go. To someone passing by, you did nothing remarkable. When others let go, you simply hung on. And it turns out that that can make all the difference. So many different thoughts, opinions, approaches regarding success. That magical word, what is it? What does it mean? How do you get there? With reality swirling around you, problems derailing, pushing you back, we're inclined to believe that getting what we want needs to be some huge production, some monumental shift, and I do not agree with that. Success is seeing the big picture. It is hanging on through the negative, looking past the now. It's what you don't do. That fight in you that separates your goals from everything else. Look, there's always a point when you're tired, when your fingers start to slip, when a simple decision takes the pain intertwined in the present moment and makes it disappear. But right now is not what you're after. Anyone can have right now. The goal, the finish line is down the road. It requires that you hang tight, that you strap in and ride this thing out. If you want it, it's there. It's that simple. It's not a trick or a riddle. It's a question. When others let go, will you hang on? Comfort and familiarity. In a world where unknown doesn't necessarily mean good or bad, it's an interesting association. Yeah, that possibility of losing what you have is always real. You know, being mortal, being susceptible to misfortune, we want to protect what's ours. But that's where I diverge. Because what's mine isn't just in my home or garage. It's out there. It's in the universe. It's held captive by what's around every single corner. What's mine is hidden behind tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. See, walking the same path, doing the same things, expecting the same results, yeah, it's fine, but it's just so limiting. If you don't allow yourself to get lost, then you have to be okay knowing that a part of you will never be found. And that's something I can't live with. Life is so much bigger than your front door. It's more than a yearly review, a commute, a test, a routine. It's the places you've never been, the people you've never met, the dreams that you haven't sought out. Then why is getting lost so important? It's important because you temporarily leave everything you know behind. And for a few short minutes, your subconscious understands that life exists beyond the hamster wheel. One of the greatest truths out there is that you are not confined by anything other than your own mind. So why not free it? Why not step outside the glass cube, rewrite your story, your narrative? Allow yourself to take that left that brings you to an unknown destination. And while, for a while you'll be concerned, you'll worry, you'll think about failure, at the end of the day, you will grow, you will learn, and most importantly, you will find your way home. And every time you do, that front door feels just a little bit different. The world around you takes on a slightly new shape. Your front door is no longer an object keeping you in, it's a gateway that opens up for you at your discretion. It connects you to the outside world. It gives you the tools to create the life that you want. Not the life you should have or the one you're supposed to have, but the one you can have, right? So step outside, get lost. You owe it to yourself. So here's a story for you. There's a runner, he's got a race coming up, and he's been preparing for this thing like crazy. He knows the race course like the back of his hand. He knows the pace that he wants to maintain, when he's gonna sprint, all that stuff. And because of this, it's safe to assume that if everything goes as planned, he has really positioned himself well. But let's say in an alternate universe, he wakes up the day of the race and he has the flu. Or let's say he gets out of the car and finds out that they rerouted the course. Or maybe he's running and has a cramp in his leg that doesn't go away, completely throws off his pace and his race plan. Suddenly, what was once his strength, what was once his backbone, is now a lot less relevant. And I think at some point we've all run into this. Things happening that are beyond our control. Not because of anything that we necessarily did or did not do, but sometimes life just happens. You know, you can always control effort. You can always maximize knowledge and preparation, but what about the other stuff? How does someone handle the adversity, the lifelong influx of events that test us and challenge us? You know, you can have a game plan, and you should. You should always be prepared for what's ahead, but that's half the battle. The other half, the part that's overlooked, is being able to pick up the pieces and put them back together when that plan falls through. Rerouting, modifying, changing, adapting, and continuing towards your goal. You know, because that is the exact moment when most people call it quits. You can't control life, and that's frustrating, but what you can control, what you always have a complete handle on, is how you deal with the circumstance that you're in, how you position yourself. In other words, you can always control you. And 99.999% of the time, that's enough. The so-called perfect experiences are few and far between. They are extremely rare. That run will not be perfect, but so what? That doesn't mean you can't mentally train yourself to push the discomfort down, to adjust, to move forward despite the cramp in your leg. Nothing in life should intimidate or discourage, because there is always a solution. It doesn't matter what your problem is, there is a solution. Maybe it's not the one you originally wanted or drew up. Maybe it's not right in front of your face, but it's there. And even more importantly, it's obtainable. You know as well as I do that life has peaks and valleys. It has ups and downs, and the ups are phenomenal. They're why we live. But the downs should never push you back or hold you down. They are simply life happening. They are your plans not going through exactly as you anticipated, but understanding that this is just part of the process. It's just par for the course. That will give you the strength to hold on, to push through, to keep climbing that mountain piece by piece in pursuit of the top. Seek out your solution, your path, make the adjustments necessary to step around the hardships and keep going. Get what you want, because at the end of the day, that is what matters.